Good afternoon, it's Mrs Banks and Mr Hutton here at Bowerham School doing our Bowerham Broadcast. Obviously, lots of things are going on in the news with regards to schools returning with Year 6, Year 1 reception and nursery. Mrs Banks, governors and the SLT have been looking at all the different ways that we can do this. The letter we sent out last week said we're just pressing pause. So at the minute, we are only open for our key worker families and children and our vulnerable children from the 1st of June. Once the scientific advice and evidence comes in place and if the 5 key tests for the government are met, then we will look at plans to be able to introduce all of the children to be able to come back at some stage. My job is to make sure that I give that as an equality for every single year group, not just the ones that have been determined by the government currently. Currently, as you are aware, they are wanting Year 6, Year 1, reception and nursery. That is a significant number of children to return, but they only want their children to be returned under guidance of having about 15 children in each class. Those 15 children have to stay in a bubble. They're not allowed out of their classroom. They're not allowed to interact or be with other children. They are not allowed to go down corridors. They're not allowed to play with other children. They're not even allowed to go to the toilet at the same time as other children. There is lots of risk assessments that we are going through currently. Mr Horton has therefore, along with Mrs Bailey who's filming, has therefore set up the classroom as if 15 children would be here at any one time. Bearing in mind, that would work out at about 34 rooms I would need to get all children in school all day. So we are only going to be able to offer 2.5 hours each day to a child who is not a key worker or a vulnerable child. And that would either be a morning session or an afternoon. More to follow once we get more information. But what we wanted to do is explain to you how the children would be in the classroom and what it means. What it means for a child in Year 6, for example, coming back to Bowerham and what that's going to look like. Mr Horton.
Thank you. So, moving on from what Mrs Banks has explained, our primary focus once you are back in with us is for you to feel comfortable and relaxed and welcome and happy and safe. So above all, our priority is to focus on activities and learning tasks that are going to help you with those things. So we'll be doing lots of team bonding, lots of activities, lots of games, socially distant of course, to make us all feel happy and safe back here at school. Bearing in mind as well with your transition that is up and coming before your high school move. So, in the classroom itself, as you can see, we have 15 spaces for you, socially distanced of course, and you can see our sort of zigzag pattern, so there's a space free to everybody's side and a space free to everybody's front. In the tray, your belongings and possessions and learning tools and equipment will be in those trays. And if Miss Bailey can come over to this tray here, in your tray will be some equipment for you as well, with pencil, ruler, pens and all the other bits of stationery that you'll need, so that we don't need to be going to the class resources all of the time. So that's what the classroom will look like, just so you know, and we'll move on from there. So thank you very much. Thanks, Miss Bailey.
So, I would just like to compliment Mr Horton in explaining that these children will only be in this class for 2.5 hours. They will be not touching anything else, only their equipment, and they won't be seeing any other of their friends. So please be aware when you make that decision to send your child, or your children make the decision to come back to school, that this is what it looks like. It isn't the Bowerham that they know and love. It isn't all the children doing assemblies, doing all things together, playing on the playground together. It's 15 children in a room, the best that we can offer, so that I can then offer it for 15 children for Year 5, and then Year 4, and then Year 3, and so on and so forth. So I hope that gives you a bit of a flavour. Thank you very much for watching and being with us, and stay safe.